Hello again. This is part 3 in our work using Keynote on our iPad. We've added a presentation, and with that presentation we've changed the first slide. We've put in our title, we've added a picture, we put a nice little frame around it. Now let's continue to work with that object. So by simply tapping on that object, there are several things that you can do beyond just adding the picture and the frame. This is something that you might want to do because it adds something to it. With it selected, you take 2 fingers and place it on there, and then notice what you can do. You can angle the picture, and notice you can see the degrees as to what that change in your angle is. Now if you don't like that, you don't like what you've just done, once again, tap undo. Undo is your friend. Alright, let's add another slide. So now when I go to the lower left hand corner and click on that plus, I'm going to add a new slide. I can look at the templates that they've provided for me and just pick the one that I want. So let's pick one, let's not do a blank one, but let's pick one with a picture, I believe. So I'm going to choose the second one down on the right hand side. And then notice it adds right away. It says double tap to edit, and then I can of course change my picture. And notice on the upper left hand side, there it is. It's slide 2. Okay, so let's start by double tapping the title. And let's call this Tips and Tricks. Okay, and then if I wanted to get rid of the keyboard again, I touch in the lower right hand corner. Looks pretty good. Now I can add some tips and tricks. You can see that it's a bulleted list. Double tap to edit. And then I can begin adding my tips and tricks. And I think my first tip or trick is to add animations to my slides. So let's type that in. That's our first tip and trick. And I'm going to add an animation to the picture. So I'm going to put down my keyboard. I'm going to tap once again on that lower right hand corner of my picture, and let's add a picture to this slide. And let's look in my camera roll, and I believe, let's scroll way up to the top here, and let's just add this picture of my desk. So it brings it in. Notice right away a couple things. It says none on a build in and none on a build out. So we'll want to add an animation by tapping on the plus. So by tapping the plus to the build in, we can then pick which transition, or animation I should say, that we want. We're going to do transitions in a bit. This is an animation. So once again I can scroll through, and if I'm not sure what these look like if I wanted to just look at the flame, it then demonstrates it for me. Okay. I think I just like the dissolve, where it just sort of fades in. It seems subtle. Now let's also tap on options. It's right next to effects down there at the bottom. Now I can change, it's 1 second right now, I can make it 2 seconds. So it dissolves in for 2 seconds versus 1. Then I can also choose when to start this animation. Only when I tap the screen or immediately after the transition. And I want it to happen right after the transition. Now let's scroll down here. Look below that. So this picture will come in right after we go from slide 1 to slide 2, because I chose after transition, but it will be delayed a half a second. Okay, I think that's good. Let's try that and see what it looks like. I'm going to go in the upper left hand corner, and let's make sure that we're on the first slide. Alright, and right now I don't have any transitions. either on slide 1 or slide 2. Notice it says none. We'll add those later. So to watch my presentation, I'm going to go to the upper right-hand corner and press the play button. Here's slide 1. And then when I tap on my screen, it'll move to slide 2. And then notice, after about a half a second, that picture took 2 seconds to slowly dissolve in. I like that. Now, something I'm noticing about that picture is I want to put a border around it. So we'll go back and do that quick. Now, if I wanted to add a border around this picture, this is somewhat tricky here in this moment, because right now I'm in the animation portion of Keynote. So by tapping on the picture, you'll notice I don't get my choices in the top right. That paintbrush, it's not there. So what I have to first think about and do is I have to get out of this animation section. And I'll do that by clicking Done. And now look what shows up. Okay, so that's somewhat tricky. Just remember that little trick. If you don't see that paintbrush, it's because you're possibly in that animation or transition area. So now with that picture selected, notice the dots around it, I can then pick my paintbrush, and I'm going to tap on the word Style, and I'm going to pick my favorite again, that lower right hand corner. So now I've got a little bit of a border and some shadows beneath that picture. Now the question you may be having is, can I animate more than just a picture? You certainly can. We can also animate the text, the title, or the bullets. So if we want to do that, let's first begin by tapping on the bullet list. And by tapping on it, there are my choices again. And then I can animate, on the right-hand side, my text. And right now, of course, we don't have any animations built in to my bulleted list. So if I wanted to add one, I tap plus. Then I look through, and again, I'm a fan of the dissolve because it's somewhat subtle, and then it just slowly comes in. Now notice right now the number 2. Okay, see the number 2 above the word add animations? That means this is the second in the series or the order. Okay, so let's look at this window. Down at the bottom it says Effects, Options, Delivery, and Order. Let's look at the order. Look what's first. The image comes in first, and then the bullets come in next. Now if I wanted to rearrange the order of these, let's say I wanted the bullets to come in first, then I can simply tap on, see those 3 lines on the right hand side? I'm tapping on the 3 lines, and then I'm just going to push it up. Notice how the numbers have now changed. Now the bullets come in first and the image comes in second. Let's put it back. Okay, so when we go to slide 2 here, first the picture comes in automatically, but what do you think about the bulleted list? I bet you it will only come in on tap. That must be the default here. So I'm going to look over here under Options, and sure enough, see I have 2 selected on the left hand side. I have the bullets selected. You can tell because those yellow dots are there, and it's only coming on my screen when I tap it. But what if I want it to come with build 1 at the same time the picture, or just after the picture comes in? Let's pick just after. Let's scroll down. I'm going to leave the delay. Okay. Now let's check this out. I'm going to press play in the upper right hand corner, and let's see what it looks like. It comes in right after that, then the add animations. The bulleted list comes in. So first the picture, second the bulleted list. I like that. And I like the dissolve because it's very subtle.